Well, many South Africans have been reacting to news about the new leader of the country's ruling party. CGTN spoke to Sheila Camerer. She is the former South African ambassador to Bulgaria and has worked with Cyril Ramaphosa as constitutional negotiator in the 1990s. Here's what she had to say about Ramaphosa.
He's had a very long history in ANC politics, and mostly unblemished, shall we say. He's been very successful when he's come to the fore in politics. He was the leader of the ANC's negotiating team that negotiated our democratic constitution 20 years ago. So yes, he has a very good reputation generally in the country, not only among ANC supporters. So I think this is a good thing, and we're all hoping that something will be done about the endemic corruption in the governing party and in government at the moment.
Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Professor Shadrach Gotto. He is the director at the Centre for African Renaissance Studies at the University of South Africa. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor. What's your view about the outcome of the ANC's elective conference?
Well, I think that it has been very interesting. First of all, the predictions that were there were demonstrating that there were two front runners, Cyril Ramaphosa and Dlamini-Zuma, and it wasn't clear who is going to win. And I think that made the campaign really charged with emotions, and they were moving all over the country, addressing people and mobilizing them, but of course they have other people who support them. And because of that, the campaign was robust, but then when the actual voting took place within the conference, the elective conference, where there were supposed to be 5,232, only 4,776 people really took part in the elections. And it was hotly contested. Of the 6 top positions within the party, each one of them got more than 2,000. And from that point of view, it can indicate how hotly it was contested. But of course, Cyril Ramaphosa came out to be the one who got most votes for the presidency, because there were only people who then contested the presidency at the end. Others who tried to really, some pulled out at the last minute and so on. So because of that, I think it was a very interesting election process. Then other positions also, Deputy President, the Chairperson, Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, and of course, a very important office there, that is the Treasurer General of the ruling party. And the outcome was one where I think there was more or less a balance of the two contenders, Ramaphosa's supporters and Dlamini-Zuma supporters.
Okay, so it was hotly contested. Some analysts are arguing that the new ANC president will have a difficult time asserting himself because of the composition of the top party structure. Do you agree with this?
Certainly, I do agree with that point of view, because the challenge that the president of the party is going to have, there are many, but one of them is to be able to say, can he be able to mobilize the supporters on both sides, those who won and those who did not win, to be able to begin to work together and find a medium where they can all participate, so that it is inclusive the language that Cyril Ramaphosa is using and others been using is that this is a unity NEC, that is the National Executive Committee, but also the top six. And whether they are united now or not is really cannot be assumed. There's been serious disputes within. The question is unity a real goal that has to be achieved? And that's a challenge. Well, the other challenge is that he is now the president of the party, but you have still the president of the country until 1919, if they don't remove him, that is.
All right, well, you've brought me nicely onto that point. Ramaphosa is also already experiencing pressure to have President Zuma recalled. What do you think is likely to happen before the next general election?
Well, that is going to be a challenge, not just for Cyril Ramaphosa, but for the top six that I've mentioned, those offices, but also the National Executive Council, which is made up of the 6 and 80 who are elected. So we are dealing with 86 people who will really try to see whether or not they ask national president Jacob Zuma to step aside, because he will be a liability if he remains a president up to the time of elections. It will affect the African National Congress very negatively, because he's facing a lot of challenges, court cases, charges that have not yet been dealt with. And if those begin to be pushed forward, it is going to reflect that the ANC has, because people still see him as being part of the top leadership, and it will affect the ANC in coming national and provincial elections in 2019.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Professor. Professor Shadrach Gutu, there, Director at the Centre for African Renaissance Studies at the University of South Africa.